unanimity amongst the jurors, we are still unable to reach a unanimous decision.
YNW Melly been sitting in that cell for 6 damn years waiting on a verdict that felt like it was never gonna come. But now, the wait is over. Word on the street is they were stalling on purpose, so they could hit him with the death penalty, thanks to Florida switching up the rules.
That's why they waited so long to take him to trial. They was waiting for that law to pass.
The verdict just dropped, and let me tell you, ain't nobody saw this coming. In this video, we're breaking down everything. From the law they waited on, to the drama in the courtroom, to how Melly reacted when the verdict finale hit. Let's get into it. The street's been waiting on this verdict that never came. The case against YNW Melly appeared strong, but the wheels of justice were slow to turn. Pre-trial proceedings dragged on, with Melly's legal team pushing for his release on bond. The prosecution vehemently opposed, citing the severity of the charges and the potential risk of flight. The judge sided with the prosecution, and Melly remained incarcerated, his future hanging in the balance. Why the delay? The complexity of the case, coupled with the meticulous gathering of evidence, contributed to the postponement of the trial. COVID-19 further complicated matters, causing widespread delays and disruptions in court systems across the country. YNW Melly's continued incarceration without trial has become a point of contention and a topic of heated discussion. Supporters rallied for his release, while others pointed to the seriousness of the charges as justification for his detention. The legal issues share a lot of similarities with the case of Tamor Trayvon McIntyre, known as Tay K, whose own legal troubles became a cautionary tale of a young artist's potential and pitfalls. Still not sure how that matters? Let me take you through a small digression of what happened to Tay K. In July 2016, Tay K was arrested and charged with capital murder for his involvement in the home invasion. Due to his age, he was placed under house arrest while awaiting trial. However, Tay K had no intention of staying confined. On March 27, 2017, Tay K cut off his ankle monitor and fled. His escape turned into a nationwide manhunt, and Tay K documented his life on the run through social media and his music. During his time as a fugitive, Tay K traveled across several states, evading law enforcement and continuing his criminal activities. While on the run, Tay K was involved in another murder. On April 23, 2017, in San Antonio, Texas, Tay K allegedly participated in the robbery and shooting of 23-year-old Mark Anthony Saldivar. Witnesses reported that Saldivar had been arguing with Tay K and his associates over a drug deal before being shot and killed. This incident added another murder charge to Tay K's already extensive criminal record. During his time as a fugitive, Tay K released the song The Race, which detailed his life on the run and his defiance of the law. The song, accompanied by a video showing Tay K posing next to his own wanted poster, quickly went viral. The Race became a symbol of his rebellious lifestyle and garnered millions of views, thrusting Tay K into the spotlight. The track's success, however, also highlighted the grim reality of his crimes and the victims left in their wake. Tay K's run from the law ended on June 30th, 2017, when he was captured by U.S. Marshals in Elizabeth, New Jersey. His arrest brought an end to a tumultuous period that had captured national attention. However, his legal battles were far from over. In July 2019, Tay K was found guilty of murder and 3 counts of aggravated robbery related to the 2016 home invasion. He was sentenced to 55 years in prison for the murder of Ethan Walker and additional years for the robbery charges. Later in November 2019, he was indicted on a capital murder charge for the death of Mark Saldivar. If convicted, Tay K could face the death penalty or life imprisonment without parole. Prosecutors are adamant that if they let him leave, they will have another Tay K situation on their hands. The prolonged pre-trial detention of YNW Melly has caused a lot of public debate and media coverage, with many questioning how fair the justice system is. The rapper's case has been the go-to case when people talk about the issues surrounding pre-trial incarceration, especially when it has to do with cases involving high-profile defendants and serious charges. For Melly, the extended time behind bars without a trial has had significant implications. Legally, it has afforded his defense team more time to build a robust case, but personally, it has meant enduring the harsh realities of incarceration and the mental toll that comes with uncertainty. The delay has also impacted his career, putting a halt to touring, recording, and other professional opportunities that could have flourished during this time. The public response to Melly's situation has been mixed. His fans have rallied behind him, launching social media campaigns, petitions, and hashtags like #FreeMelly, calling for his release and a fair trial. They argue that the justice system is punishing him prematurely, without a conviction, and that he should be granted bond while awaiting trial. Conversely, critics of Melly point to the severity of the charges and the potential danger he could pose to the community if released. They cite the need for justice for the victims and their families, emphasizing that the safety of others must be a priority. The media has played a significant role in shaping the narrative around Melly's case. News outlets and true crime podcasts have delved into the details of the charges, often drawing comparisons to other high-profile cases, such as that of Tay K. The sensational nature of the allegations, combined with Melly's celebrity status, has made the case a fixture in tabloid headlines and online discussions. The fear is that if Melly were to be released on bond, there is a risk, however small, that he could attempt to flee or engage in further criminal activity. This concern is amplified by the notoriety and influence that come with his status as a successful artist. The judge's decision to deny bond reflects a desire to mitigate these risks and prevent a repeat of the Tay K scenario. The implications of Melly's prolonged detention extend beyond his individual case. It has sparked discussions about the balance between the rights of the accused and the need to protect the community. Advocates for criminal justice reform have used Melly's case to highlight the broader issues of bail reform and the conditions of pretrial detention facilities. As the legal proceedings inch forward, the court of public opinion remains divided. Melly's supporters continue to clamor for his release, while others stand firm in the belief that the seriousness of the charges justifies his continued incarceration. The media continues to follow every development, feeding the public's insatiable appetite for the latest twist in this ongoing legal saga. Judicial considerations are heavily influenced by the nature of the charges against Melly. First-degree murder is among the most serious charges in the criminal justice system, often carrying the possibility of life imprisonment or even the death penalty. In such cases, judges are more inclined to deny bond due to the perceived risk of flight and the potential threat to public safety if the accused were to be released. Another factor at play is the strength of the prosecution's case. If the evidence against the accused appears strong and suggests a high likelihood of conviction, the court may deem it necessary to keep the individual in custody. This is particularly true if there are concerns that the defendant could influence witnesses, tamper with evidence, or commit further crimes if not detained. The strategy behind denying bond also involves the concept of leverage. By keeping Melly in custody, the prosecution may be able to apply pressure, potentially leading to a plea deal or cooperation with the investigation. This tactic is often used in high-stakes cases where the prosecution seeks to secure a conviction without the unpredictability of a jury trial. The potential impact on the trial itself is significant. Pretrial detention can affect the defendant's ability to participate in their defense actively. Being in jail limits Melly's communication with his legal team, access to resources, and ability to gather supportive evidence. This can create a sense of urgency for the defense to expedite the trial, which may or may not work in their favor. Public perception is another critical element influencing judicial decisions. In high-profile cases like Melly's, the court is acutely aware of the scrutiny it faces from the media and the public. Granting bond to an individual accused of a heinous crime can lead to public outcry and a perception that the justice system is not taking the charges seriously enough. Conversely, denying bond can be seen as a commitment to justice and public safety, albeit at the risk of being viewed as punitive before a guilty verdict is reached. But about 1,500 miles east towards California, Suge Knight was given bond under similar charges. Knight's defense team, led by attorney Thomas Mesereau, presented several arguments to support their request for bond. They emphasized Knight's health issues, including blood clots and other medical conditions, which they argued were not being adequately treated in jail. Additionally, they asserted that Knight posed no flight risk, given his strong ties to the community and family in the area. The defense also stressed the financial burdens Knight faced, claiming that his inability to work while incarcerated was leading to severe financial hardship. They argued that Knight needed to be free to help manage his legal affairs and business interests. The prosecution strongly opposed granting a bond to Knight. They highlighted his extensive criminal history, which included charges of assault, robbery, and previous instances of violent behavior. Prosecutors argued that Knight's release would pose a significant threat to public safety, given his alleged involvement in violent crimes. They also contended that Knight had a history of intimidating witnesses and obstructing justice, suggesting that his release could compromise the integrity of the trial. The prosecution painted a picture of Knight as a dangerous individual with a propensity for violence, making a strong case against his release on bond. After hearing arguments from both sides, the judge ultimately set Knight's bond at $25 million. This amount was one of the highest bonds in California history and reflected the court's assessment of Knight as a high-risk defendant. Knight's legal team argued that the bond was excessive and effectively denied him the possibility of release. Despite the high bond amount, Knight's legal team attempted to reduce it. In subsequent hearings, the bond was lowered to $10 million, still a substantial sum. Ultimately, Knight was unable to post bond and remained in custody throughout his trial. Now back to Melly's case. Regardless of what you think is the reason Melly has not been freed, there seems to be no end in sight for this case. The feds playing 5D chess while we out here playing spades. During the initial trial, the state pulled out some digital receipts to claim that Melly confessed using an Instagram exchange between Melly and Peasy Gambino. On October 26, 2018, Peasy asked if Melly was okay. Melly allegedly responded, "I did that, shh." But Melly's defense attorney, Stuart Adelstein, tried to poke holes in this by showing that Melly usually spelled that as dat in his messages. Prosecutor Christine Bradley countered this by showing that Melly did use the conventional spelling in some messages, and even in his song, Melly fixed that. They also claimed that the shots came from inside the car surveillance footage, captured Melly and his crew hopping into a Jeep before the fatal shooting. When the police found the vehicle hours later, Williams and Thomas were dead from gunshot wounds. Ballistic analysis suggested that the shots were fired from inside the car, specifically from where Melly was seen sitting. Although the gun was never found and no gunpowder residue was discovered on Melly, this evidence pointed towards an internal shooting rather than a drive-by.
And my determination was that this is not a drive-by shooting, and it's based upon this picture here, which is a very good picture to describe it. The shooter is at a stationary position when all but one of these rounds are going in.
At some point, the prosecution brought in gang expert Danny Polo to testify about Melly's alleged affiliation with the G-Shine Bloods. Polo claimed Melly was deeply involved, knowing all the signs and using gang lingo in his messages.
And what does herc mean?
Herc is a term used by members of G-Shine to refer to each other. It's like calling each other bro or dude, same thing.
The state presented photos and text to back up these claims, suggesting that the murders might have been gang-related, although the exact benefit to the gang wasn't detailed. The state then used phone records to map the movements of Melly and Bortland's phones on the night of the murders. FBI Special Agent Brendan Collins showed that the phones pinged near the crime scene, though he couldn't definitively place them together at every moment. Miramar Police Detective Mark Moretti confirmed that no devices appeared directly at the crime scene due to Melly's phone having its location services turned off. However, surveillance footage helped trace Melly's movements, including when he was picked up by rapper Fredo Bang after the incident. BSO DNA analyst Kurt Rhodes tested various items found in the Jeep, like a water bottle and a spent shell casing, but none matched Melly's DNA conclusively. However, DNA that may have been Melly's was found on the rear passenger side door handle, where the shots were believed to have been fired from. In a bold move, Florida prosecutors plan to introduce a whole bunch of YNW Melly's lyrics as evidence in his upcoming retrial. According to the Miami Herald, Broward County prosecutor Alexandra Buckaloo filed a court document on Wednesday listing an impressive array of Melly's work they want to admit. We're talking 55 songs, 18 audio files, 14 YouTube videos, and 4 album covers. Among these pieces of evidence is Melly's biggest hit, Murder on My Mind. This track, which has been a massive hit and is often seen as eerie given the circumstances, could play a significant role in the prosecution's case. The state is aiming to use these lyrics to shed light on Melly's state of mind and potential motives. Using rap lyrics as evidence in criminal trials isn't a new tactic, but it's definitely a controversial one. These lyrics can't be the sole basis for a conviction, but they can be highly prejudicial. Jurors might be swayed by pre-existing biases, often racially motivated against rappers. This can lead them to make up their minds based on stereotypes rather than hard evidence. Take the YSL RICO indictment, for example. Prosecutors used Young Thug's lyrics to implicate him in 10 different overt acts in furtherance of the conspiracy. This case highlights the tricky line between artistic expression and real-life crime. It's a tactic that's been criticized for unfairly targeting hip-hop artists. Young Thug, Gunna, and over 24 associates from the Young Slime Life, YSL, label and artists collective faced a major indictment on gang-related charges last May. The 88-page grand jury indictment labeled YSL as a criminal street gang and detailed 182 acts, including members wearing clothing or accessories with slime to further the conspiracy. Individual charges range from murder and attempted robbery to aggravated assault with a weapon. Georgia prosecutors also accused all 28 defendants of violating the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act by engaging in a pattern of illegal activities to acquire money and property. Controversially, rap lyrics from Grammy-nominated musicians, including a posthumous Juice WRLD single, are being used as evidence. Of the 28 defendants, 6, including star Young Thug, are set to stand trial. The trial began on November 27th in Atlanta and is expected to last most of the year. This isn't the first time rap lyrics have been introduced in court. In 2012, a Louisiana judge allowed some lyrics from 187 in Boosie's murder trial. When Bobby Shmurda faced gang-related charges in 2014, his hit Hot was heavily scrutinized, though not formally cited as evidence. "I'm guilty for where I live," Shmurda told Vulture. "I was never part of no gang." In 2019, 2019, prosecutors used lyrics from the late Drakeo the Ruler to accuse him of murder. That same year, 6ix9ine's lyrics were brought up during his gang-related trial. Although Boosie and Drakeo the Ruler were acquitted, critics argue that using rap lyrics as evidence can unfairly sway juries and disproportionately impact black and brown defendants. When Maryland's highest court ruled in December 2020 that rap lyrics could be used in a murder trial, veteran attorney Dina LaPolte told Variety that the decision was blatantly racist and set a dangerous precedent. Last year, Jay-Z and other prominent artists supported Senate Bill S. 7527, a New York bill known as Rap Music on Trial, which aims to acknowledge rap as artistic expression and limit the use of lyrics in criminal cases. The proposed legislation argues that using rap lyrics in court turns trials into instruments for suppressing provocative speech and undermines the principle that a case should be judged on facts, not on perceived propensity to commit a crime. The bill passed in committee in late January and is currently up for a Senate and Assembly vote. State Senator Brad Hoylman, who sponsored the bill, told Fox 5 NY,
"No one ever thought that Johnny Cash was going to shoot a man in Reno just to watch him die, or Bob Marley shot a sheriff but spared a deputy." But that's exactly what prosecutors are trying to convince juries about across this country.
The legislation, unveiled in November 2020, took a significant step forward on Tuesday, October 12, 2021, successfully passing through the Senate Codes Committee, marking its initial move toward a full Senate vote. Jay-Z has also lent his voice into this issue. His lawyer Alex Spiro has said, "This is an issue that's important to Jay-Z and all the other artists that have come together to try to bring about this change. This is a long time coming. Mr. Carter is from New York, and if he can lend his name and his weight, that's what he wants to do." Jay-Z's lawyer Alex Spiro, a partner at Quinn Emanuel Urquhart and Sullivan, told Rolling Stone. Spiro co-wrote the letter with University of Richmond professor Eric Nielsen, who authored Rap on Trial with University of Georgia law professor Andrea Dennis. Spiro noted that he and Jay-Z, who previously fought for racial diversity in arbitration panels leading to national reforms, view the proposed legislation as a bellwether that could influence other states. By changing the law here, you do a lot of good for the cases that it affects, but you also send a message that progress is coming. We expect it will be followed in a lot of places, Spiro said. Fat Joe also voiced his support, telling Rolling Stone back in 2022, "Our lyrics are a creative form of self-expression and entertainment, just like any other genre. We want our words to be recognized as art rather than being weaponized to get convictions in court. I hope the governor and all the lawmakers in New York take our letter into consideration, protect our artistic rights, and make the right decision to pass this bill." Before his tragic murder in 2021, Los Angeles rapper Drakeo the Ruler experienced this practice firsthand. Despite being acquitted in the 2016 murder of a 24-year-old man, Drakeo spent 3 years in prison as prosecutors built their case around lyrics from his song Flex Freestyle. Although investigators agreed he didn't pull the trigger, they used his lyrics to argue he brought armed associates to target another rapper, RJ, who wasn't even at the party. "I didn't even think they could do that," Caldwell, Drakeo said. "I heard about them doing it before, but it was just the way they were doing it, how they were using it against me. It didn't make no sense. It was just crazy." Senator Bailey stated that the new bill aims to prevent such practices in New York by requiring a strong factual nexus between the art and the facts of the case, rather than allowing creative expression to form the basis of a criminal theory. Presuming a defendant's guilt based solely on musical genre or creative expression is antithetical to our foundational rights and perpetuates the systemic racism embedded in the criminal justice system through discriminatory conflations of hip-hop and rap with criminality, Bailey said in a statement Tuesday. When the culture split and real lives got destroyed. In 2018, the music industry was rocked by a chilling incident that would forever tarnish the name of rising rapper YNW Melly. It all began on a fateful night when tragedy struck. Two of Melly's closest friends, Anthony YNW Sack Chaser Williams and Christopher YNW Juvie Thomas Jr., were brutally gunned down. It is essential to explore the lives of the victims to comprehend the magnitude of this tragedy. YNW Juvie was a promising young artist with immense talent and raw potential. Contrary to the initial portrayal of a hardened lifestyle, testimonials from friends and family revealed his gentle nature, passion for music, and desire to escape the cycle of violence surrounding him. YNW Sack Chaser, known for his outgoing personality and infectious smile, was an aspiring entrepreneur. He aimed to uplift his community by creating opportunities, especially for young aspiring artists. Juvie and Sack Chaser had dreams, aspirations, and bright futures ahead of them, all tragically cut short. The aftermath of the double homicide fell heavily upon the victims' families, who were left to grapple with unimaginable pain and loss. Parents, siblings, and loved ones were forced to navigate a wave of emotions, sheer disbelief, anger, sorrow, and unanswered questions. Their grief was further compounded by the attention and speculation surrounding the high-profile case. The loss of YNW Juvie and YNW Sack Chaser deeply impacted the community they called home. They were both seen as encouraging role models who aimed to use their talent to uplift those around them. Their absence left a void that could not be quickly filled, forever altering the pulse of their neighborhood. Melly, devastated by the loss of his friends right after they died, claimed that they had fallen victim to a drive-by shooting. He insisted that he and his friends were innocent victims caught in the crossfire of a random act of violence. The news of the alleged drive-by shooting spread like wildfire, capturing the attention of fans and the media alike. However, as the investigation unfolded, the truth began to unravel. The authorities, suspicious of Melly's claims, delved deeper into the circumstances surrounding the deaths of Williams and Thomas. Their findings would paint a much darker picture. Soon enough, the spotlight turned on Melly himself. The police alleged that he was not only involved in the murders, but had orchestrated them himself. In a shocking turn of events, Melly, along with another friend named Cortland YNW Bortland Henry, was arrested in connection with the murders. The authorities believed that Melly had pulled the trigger himself, with Henry acting as his accomplice. The charges brought against Melly were nothing short of severe. He was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, a crime that carried heavy penalties. The weight of the charges hung heavily over Melly as he faced the legal battle of his life. On the night of October 26, 2018, YNW Melly and his friends were driving through the streets of South Florida. It was during this fateful drive that the unthinkable allegedly occurred. Shots were fired, and both YNW Sack Chaser and YNW Juvie were fatally wounded. The details surrounding the motive for the alleged crime are still murky, but rumors began to circulate that it may have been driven by a lucrative brand deal that went awry. The allure of money and fame can sometimes lead individuals down a dark path, and it seems that YNW Melly may have fallen victim to these temptations. First and foremost, ballistics reports revealed that the bullets recovered from the bodies of YNW Sack Chaser, 21 years, and YNW Juvie, 26, matched the firearm registered to YNW Melly. This crucial evidence raised serious questions about his potential role in the crime. Additionally, forensic analysis of the crime scene indicated that the shots were fired from inside the vehicle, further implicating YNW Melly. Furthermore, witnesses came forward, providing statements that suggested YNW Melly's involvement in the murders. These witnesses claimed to have seen YNW Melly with a firearm on the night of the incident and heard him make threatening remarks towards his friends. As the case gained media attention, YNW Melly's defense team fought back, claiming that the evidence was circumstantial and that their client was innocent. They argued that the rapper had no motive to harm his friends and that the prosecution's case was built on speculation rather than concrete proof. However, the prosecution countered these claims with additional evidence. In the months following his arrest, YNW Melly's legal battle continued. Phone records, as per the provided information obtained during the investigation, revealed that YNW Melly had made calls to his friends shortly before the shooting, suggesting that he was close to the crime scene at the time of the incident. This evidence further strengthened the case against him. How did Melly go from aspiring music star to alleged cold-blooded murderer? Jamel Maurice Demons, known by his stage name YNW Melly, was born on May 1st, 1999. Growing up in the small South Florida community of Gifford, Melly had a deep love for music from a young age. He was captivated by artists like Chris Brown and Michael Jackson, whose talents inspired him to pursue a career in the industry. However, Melly developed an early fascination with guns alongside his musical aspirations. In interviews in an official YNW Melly documentary, he revealed that he discovered a revolver under his uncle's couch in 4th grade. From that moment on, he carried it everywhere, including school. This early exposure to firearms would later become a recurring theme in his life and music. Unfortunately, Melly's troubled relationship with the law began to unfold during his teenage years. In October 2015, at the age of 16, he found himself facing serious charges. Local Florida newspapers reported that Melly was charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault and 1 count of discharging a firearm in public. Allegedly, he fired a gun at 3 other students near their high school. This incident would be a pivotal moment in Melly's life, as it would later inspire one of his most haunting songs, Murder on My Mind. Despite these early encounters with the law, Melly's passion for music continued to grow. He began sharing rough freestyles on SoundCloud under his birth name, but by 2016, he had adopted the moniker YNW Melly. Alongside his longtime friends Anthony Williams, YNW Sack Chaser, Christopher Thomas Jr., YNW Juvie, and Cortland Henry, YNW Bortland, Melly formed the YNW crew, which stood for Young World or Young New Wave. YNW Melly's talent and dedication to music propelled him to new heights in the industry. In the months leading up to his last arrest, Melly experienced a significant breakthrough in his career. A month before his arrest in February 2019, the then 19-year-old artist from Gifford released his mixtape titled We All Shine. This project featured collaborations with some of the biggest names in the industry, including none other than Kanye West. The collaboration with Kanye West on the single Mixed Personalities showcased Melly's unique style and introduced him to a broader audience. The song gained significant attention and further solidified Melly's position in the music industry. The Mixed Personalities music video garnered millions of views on various platforms, further propelling Melly's fame. In addition to his collaboration with Kanye West, Melly also worked with other notable artists, including Young Thug. Their joint effort resulted in several songs showcasing the chemistry and talent of both artists. These collaborations expanded Melly's fan base and solidified his position as a rising star in the industry. However, it was Melly's chilling single, Murder on My Mind, that truly catapulted him into the spotlight. Released on March 4, 2017, the song quickly gained traction and became a viral sensation. Its haunting lyrics and introspective nature resonated with listeners, propelling it to the top of the charts. The song's popularity grew, eventually achieving gold certification and reaching multi-platinum status. Murder on My Mind showcased Melly's ability to craft emotionally charged and thought-provoking music. The song's almost diary-like intimacy and vivid storytelling captivated audiences, solidifying Melly's unique artistic voice.